don't forget to click that subscribe and bell icon to receive a notification each time I upload a new video. Hi everyone, it's Mike here and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So it's time for another mid-month mini mission inspiration for the month of May. God, you could almost turn that into a song, couldn't you? So the word of the month is haiku, which is a form of Japanese poetry, usually only 3 lines, 17 syllables in total, 5 syllables in the first line, 7 in the second, and 5 in the last. So the challenge for the month is to come up with a haiku on any subject whatsoever. Now traditionally haikus were about nature, so I went looking in my collection of items, images on my computer and that kind of stuff, and came up with the perfect image. So that's what I'm going to create my collage art tag with today. So this is my journal, my tag journal, which I've been doing every month since January. So January, February, March and April. So May's is about to be created. So I need some cardboard in which to create my tag. And I did have a piece somewhere waiting to go, and you know, it's disappeared. It's always the case. Okay, we'll use this piece today. Can't find the original one that I put to one side. I normally use a piece of craft cardstock from some biscuits from Mr. Bentley. This is a piece from what looks like breakfast cereal. So I'm just going to put my template down, grab a little pencil or pen, and then just draw around my tag. Now these tags are 4 inches by 8 inches, so if you just cut a piece of cardboard or a piece of card at 4 by 8, and then the drop from the point to there is just 2 inches, I seem to remember when I designed these. Is he lying? Where it should be. No, you say it's not, is it? That's it. Yes. So if you measure up 6 inches there, and then if you measure 2 inches in from there and then draw a line, you get your tag. There you go. I knew there was some kind of method in madness. Mostly madness rather than method, but you know, we're there almost. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just quickly cut that out, but I won't make you sit through the entire cutting out process because that's really boring. So I'll actually just go ahead and I'll meet you again when I've cut it out. We'll just finish off by rounding that corner. Don't really need to. If you've got one of those corner rounders, you can just use one of those. Okay, so let's get rid of those bits. Let's just zoom out just a little tad. There we go. So that is going to be my base for my tag for the month. I've obviously got some liquid just to help me talk. Oh, lovely. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover these tags in this paper from my stash. So, and it doesn't really matter which side goes where. So all I'm going to do, because it is 8-inch paper, if I just measure that at 4 inches and then just run that through. I'm not very prepared today. I'm sort of prepared. I'm prepared, but not really prepared, if you know what I mean. Okay. And glue. I did have my glue. There we are. See, I said I was sort of prepared, but not quite. It's one of those days today. That would be easier if I actually just put it on there, wouldn't I? At least I know where I'm going. Start off by covering the tag. There we go. So turn that over. At least I've got a little bit of wiggle room with this stuff. So drop that down, and then we can just kind of turn it over, and then we can just line that up like so. So that's pretty much going to be it. Just move it down a little bit so I don't have to do too much cutting. Far too much glue there, look. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same with the back. So we've got the same on the front as we have on the back. I could have just folded it over, couldn't I, and did it that way. Told you I wasn't really prepared for it today. Okay, so let's grab a cutting mat. Swap those over. Move my coffee out of the way. Get a knife. Got my ruler. And then we'll just snip around those. Just make it easy. You can always go back and trim later. It's not hugely important that you get it bang on right the first time. Once it's dry, you can always go back and add some more or take some more off. So of course it started to curl because the glue's pulling, which is fine. So whenever I do these, I used to always forget to do the back. Always used to forget to do the back. Now I make sure I do the back first as a priority, then I don't forget. And then we'll just drop that down like so. Give it a little push and a rub. That's it, just to make sure we get it lined up the way we want it. So of course the glue is now going to pull back the other way, which then should straighten it out. In theory, anyway. Practice is somewhat different to theory. Okay. There's our tag. That was going to be the back. That's going to be the front. So we just need to make sure that's dry now. So I'm going to leave that for about 10 minutes or so, and then come back and hopefully it'll be dry enough and it'll pull back into line where it'll be straight again, ready for us to start building, or ready for me to start building my collage for the month. Okay, so my tag base is pretty much dry now. There is a little bit of a kink to it, but not too much. So I did say that the haikus are normally about nature, and I found this fantastic image of a snail in my collection. So I'm going to use that as my main kind of focal point. But of course the snail's got to be on something. So I also found this lettuce leaf, or a piece of what looks like lettuce anyway. So I'm going to cut that out, and I've also written my haiku, which I will share with you in a little while. So first of all, what I need to do is I need to cut these out. So they're not going to take too long, but again, because it's going to be really boring for you to sit and watch me cut these out, I will jump to the end where I've got everything cut out and done. And I'll even go around the edges with a pen just to hide those raw white edges and get rid of all those. So we'll be ready to go and start sticking down when I'm back. So I'll just jump back in while I'm just going around the edge of my lettuce leaf. I'm just using a very inexpensive and cheap felt tip pen that I picked up at my local supermarket. I was going and having a look at felt tips because I use these quite a lot in other stuff. So when I'm writing thank yous on my dispatch notes, when I'm sending my website orders out, I'll write with a felt tip pen. My local supermarket, which is renowned for selling kind of very cheap stuff, when I went and had a look at their felt tip pens, what they were selling, because normally they buy, you know, the sort of stuff that comes in a huge container from China, which is like, you get 100 pens for like £1. They're usually really, really cheap. I discovered that they had a complete set of Faber-Castell felt tips, and I just felt compelled to buy them because they're Faber-Castell rather than just cheap Chinese ones. So they were a little bit more expensive, but they've lasted me a really, really long time. Whereas the ones from usually you get from the supermarket for, you know, that are cheap as chips, dry up within like a week or two. So just goes to prove, buy cheap, buy it twice. Okay, so I've gone around the edge of that now, so my snail is cut out. I know, he's great, isn't he? Absolutely love him. But I have had him in my collection for absolutely ages, and I've never actually done anything with him. So he's going to get stuck down on top of that lettuce leaf there, which is cool. So I need to just position the lettuce leaf. So we're doing corner almost up to the top there. So let's grab some glue on that. See, I could stick everything down using matte medium, but I don't really like doing that on these projects because they just take ages and ages and ages to dry. So it's easier just to use sort of, I will say, wet glue, because this is kind of gloopy stuff, but it's not like PVA. Alright, so put it about there. Just wipe that away. Smooth it out. Now I just need to mark, using my template, where the hole's going to go. So I'm just going to lay my template back over the top. So we're a tad bigger slightly. So if I just put a little dot there, that's where I know the hole's going to go. I don't want to be sticking anything over the top of that. Particularly don't want to stick the snail over the top of it. So anything that's below that hole is going to be kind of safe. So we can do him kind of on the twist a bit there. Looks like it's coming down. Yeah, like that. Like it a lot. So we'll just go around. Now I'm just going to add just a little bit onto his little eye stalks. And then around the outside. There we go. So we'll position him about there. Love it. Absolutely love it. You have so much fun with collage, building up your own images from individual ones. It's great. There we go, and then we've got my haiku. So my haiku is as follows. Shiny snail so small, racing up the garden path, spies a leafy lunch. So shiny, 2, snail so small, which is 5 syllables, racing up the garden path, 7, spies a leafy lunch, 5. So 5, 7, 5. We've hit the haiku. So we'll cut that out. Again, I'll trim these out small enough to fit on, and then I'll be right back. Right, so we're all cut out. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go around the edges of my word blocks with the green felt tip. Now the text I used when I printed this out, I didn't do it in black. I actually printed the text out in a brown colour, which kind of matches the shell. It's a very subtle thing, you don't really see it. I know it's there, but anybody looking at it at first glance will just think, well, it's just black writing. But it ain't. So that can go there. And then we'll just whip round really, really quickly. I thought using the word racing in the haiku was kind of funny, because obviously snails don't race at all. But I suppose when you go down to their level and you look at some of the other insects and things in the garden, like slugs and snails, you know, it might not to us look like they're moving very fast, but who's to say their perception, they might be really, really quick. And I always think, well, when you watch ants running, because they don't walk, they look like, whenever they're walking across like paving slabs or anything like that, if that was scaled up to like human size, they'd be moving like 25-30 miles an hour, because they're really, really quick, but it doesn't look like they're moving quickly. So I'm just wondering whether that perceptions of time for insects is different to what it is for us. You know, does time move quicker for them because they move slower? Or does it move slower? Do you know what I mean? It's one of those things I've always wondered. It'll probably be a question that never gets answered. Right. So let's grab some glue and we can start sticking these down. So just a little bit on the back. I'm not going really heavy with it because it doesn't need it, because it's not a heavy piece of card or anything. Don't want to cover his antenna up, or his eye. It's not really an antenna really, is it? It's an eye. I'm not all that familiar with snail anatomy. Okay, across there. And then we'll just stagger that a little bit. And then the last bit. I really could do with doing some shopping, getting some more glue. There we go. Like it. Okay, so I'll give that a minute or two just to dry and grab. We can get rid of any of that excess glue around the word blocks. And then I'll also just add some glue onto the back of my prompt card for the month. I'll stick that on so I know what the prompt was for that particular piece, which I've done with all the other months. And then I'll just flip that over, and all this can be drying together. There we go. And I've already put today's date on it, Saturday the 15th. Bang, mid-month. Sort of. There we go. Right, we'll leave that to dry for a bit and I'll be back in a second or two, or minute or two. Okay, so it's all had a few minutes now to dry. I've popped my hole for it to hang in the tag journal. So I just want to quickly go around and just add some distress ink around the edges just to kind of frame it, just to hide those raw white edges. Just a personal preference, you don't have to do that, obviously. Just go around just to give it a bit of a nice frame. Okay. Just bring that distress a little bit further in if you want. Just helps to kind of finish it off if there's a little bit of a border all the way around, and I'll do the same thing just on the back. I did actually treat myself to a brand new vintage photo distress ink pad, but I don't know what I've done with it. It's not with all the others. Hence the reason why I'm using the older one. So sometimes I have added a whole reinforcement ring at the top, but it's not always necessary, depending on how strong the structure is of your card that you've made your tag out of. It's usually okay. Only when you've done a thin one, really, do you need a reinforcer. Right, so just to finish off, I'm getting some glossy accents. And I'm going to put, he says, hoping that's it. Just adding some glossy accent just onto his eyes. I'll do all four. And then I'm going to add just a little bit along the edge. Just there. Just to give it a little bit of kind of depth. Because that's where he normally leaves the trail. Should we add a little bit more just onto this side of that bit there? Just a little bit of realism. So we'll leave that to dry, and then I'll be back to show you the end result. It's been a good hour, and now the glossy accents are dry. There we go. So it just looks a little bit more shiny, so just like the underneath of a snail. So there you go. There is my mid-month mini mission inspiration art tag for the month of May, and I've already put the date on and glued it to the back. Gone around the edges obviously just to give it a little bit of grunge, but I did end up putting some reinforcers just from there because it did feel just a little bit whippy. Luckily the shell wasn't quite stuck down there, so I was able to tuck it just underneath. But I loved that snail image so much, I love that snail image so much, that I decided to incorporate that and make it part of the cover for my journal, which I haven't created yet, or haven't done yet. So while I was waiting for the glossy accents to dry, I created another tag for the cover for my journal for the year. So all I did was create another tag using the piece of craft card from the Mr. Bentley box of biscuits that I couldn't find earlier. I did actually find it. Did some hole reinforcers using some indigo blue brass monkey brass metallic paint and some of the Tim Holtz Collage 8x8 from the pad, and I've just used one half, so you go the turret and then it carries on onto the back of the sheet. So I did a second snail, so all I have to do is just quickly glue that down. Oh, actually before we do that, I've got one of these old tickets from Tim Holtz, and I also found my new vintage photo distress ink, by the way, which is extremely juicy, completely different to my old one, because we can't get the re-inkers at the moment. They just seem to be out of stock everywhere, so but a new pad is easy to grab hold of. So yes, so it's one of these, not one of the adage tickets, because the adage tickets were bigger, I think. I can't remember what these were called anyway. They're probably no longer done, probably discontinued, but I've still got some left. So I'm going to stick that down on there like that, and then I'm going to glue the snail so it looks like it's just popping over there, and that's going to be the front cover for my journal. So that wants to go just about there, but we'll use some glue that we've got a bit of wiggle room with. So you're getting 2 in 1 with this one. So about there, I think we said, like so, and then just flip. Come on, work your way down to the bottom. That's it. This is the Elmer's glue. That's purple. That when it dries, it goes clear. But because I've had it in the light, not far away from a window, it's already started to go clear in the bottle. Right, let's flip that over. I really like this snail image. So we'll do it about there, like that. Drop that down so it's coming over the ticket, like that. And then I've got some of these Tim Holtz Ideology label letters. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the numbers, and we'll put the year just there. So 20, let's see if I can lift them off. Of course they're all going to come off en masse. I might just have to knock it down just a tad. That one's stuck. It's so fiddly, these little letters. This is probably why I've not used them very often. Very fiddly. Let's see if we can lift that one back up. There we go. And then where's that number 1 gone? Just trying to pick it up with my scalpel just slightly off camera, so because it is fiddly as anything. And I bet you thought I was going to swear then, but nearly did, but not quite. There we go. So that's going to become my front cover. And I may just add a little bit of shading just on there at a later date when it's completely all dry and stuck down. So let's put the front cover on, and then we can flip that to the back, and then we can add our May tag with the haiku to the front. And there you go, all done. That's the mid-month mini mission inspiration, all done for May. So I hope you've enjoyed watching me do that. If you did, please remember to give it a thumbs up, share the video with your friends, and if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel already, you can do so by clicking the button at the end of the video. It's almost becoming like a sing song that. That's all from me for now. I'll see you all again very, very soon. Bye for now. I'd like to say a huge thank you to all of my angels, because without you, these videos would not be possible. Thank you.